Hey, loves. Paula here with the Healed Love Languages. I'm your nurse, your health coach, and your truth-telling big sister, along with your author. I want you to grab your coffee, your water, your tea, your protein shake, or whatever emotional support beverage is keeping you out of trouble today, because we need to talk about the signs that you are possibly a pick-me girl, and you don't want to be a pick-me girl. You want to be the one choosing. And before half of you immediately think of somebody else, I know exactly who needs to hear this. Ma'am, put her name down right now, because about 5 minutes into this episode, you might realize that I am talking about some of us too. And yes, I've had to examine myself in this before and had to learn and have continued to unlearn it, because I don't want to be picked. I want to be chosen, and I want to choose somebody in return, because we're not doing the internet version of the pick me girl today. For example, we're not talking about whether she likes football. I can raise my hand because I do. Whether she wears makeup. I do. Whether she has mostly male friends. Kind of. Whether she drinks bourbon instead of rosé. Yes, I do. None of these things automatically make someone a pick-me. We're going to actually go deeper, though. We're going to talk about the women who have learned consciously or unconsciously to measure some part of their value by whether a man chooses her. And we're going to ask an uncomfortable question. What if pick-me behavior isn't really about men? What if sometimes it's about the little girl who learned she had to earn being chosen? When we do that, we definitely have a podcast episode, and that is what we're going to dive into today, because we are talking psychology, childhood wounds, competition between women, male validation, faith, accountability, and why sometimes a woman will protect access to a man, even when protecting that access requires her to disrespect another woman. And yes, we're going to laugh, as always, because I love adding in a little bit of humor. I always love adding in a little bit of humor in these serious podcasts, because some of us have participated in the relationship Olympics only to finally win the man and realize, what exactly did we just win? Because we were busy trying to be the pick-me girl instead of trying to actually pick someone good for us. So let's get into it. Sign number one, you feel special because he chose you over another woman. This is one of the easiest ways to recognize the pattern. It's not simply that you just like this man and he likes you. It's he chose me instead of her. And somehow the existence of another woman makes being chosen feel more valuable. Maybe he had a girlfriend. Maybe an ex was still emotionally involved. Or maybe there were several women competing for his attention. Maybe he told you, I've never connected with anyone the way I connect with you. You understand me better than she ever did, or you're different. And that word different, sometimes you're different is beautiful, and sometimes it's bait with lip gloss on it. Because if a man consistently creates competition between women, being declared the winner doesn't necessarily mean you've entered a healthy relationship. It may simply mean you're currently receiving the most attention. And those are not the same thing. Why does being chosen feel so powerful? Because human beings have a deep need for belonging. It's pretty simple. If you grew up feeling overlooked, compared with siblings, inconsistently affirmed, or as though love had to be earned, being chosen can hit something much deeper than romance. It can feel like, finally I'm enough. Finally, somebody picked me. Finally, I won. But healing asks a different question. Did I actually choose him? Or was I so focused on whether he chose me that I forgot to evaluate whether his character deserved access to me? That is behavioral intelligence. Sign number two, you defend his behavior because he treats you, quote unquote, differently. This one is going to make somebody uncomfortable. Another woman tells you, he lied to me. He cheated on me. He manipulated me. He treated me terribly. And your immediate response is, well, he's never done that to me. Okay, but that's not evidence that it didn't happen to her. Imagine someone saying, that restaurant gave me food poisoning, and you respond, well, my chicken was fine. Congratulations on your chicken. We're still discussing what happened to hers. Someone treating you well does not prove that they treated everyone else well. Character isn't measured exclusively by how someone behaves toward the person whose approval they currently want. And this is where women can unintentionally become part of the protection system around harmful behavior. We don't have to know every detail of another person's relationship to compare it if we're not trying to be pick-me girls. If we were actually in a healthy relationship, we realize it just didn't work. We shouldn't automatically assume every accusation is true, and fairness matters. Evidence matters, context matters. We also shouldn't dismiss another woman's experience simply because acknowledging it might change how we see man. So ask yourself, am I evaluating the information fairly or protecting the relationship that I want with him? Because those are different things. Sign number 3, you compete with women who were never competing with you. Oh, this one, I mean, it hits home. She walks into the room and suddenly you're assessing her hair, her smile, her body, her clothes, how he looked at her. Meanwhile, this woman is trying to find the bathroom, and that is it. She doesn't even know she's participating in the Hunger Games, but something inside you has already said, threat detected, alarms go up. And why is that? Because sometimes jealousy isn't about the current relationships. Sometimes competition predates the relationship entirely. Girls can learn very early that beauty, popularity, desirability, and male attention operate like social currency. Then adulthood becomes one long audition. Who's prettier, who's thinner, who's sexier, who's younger, who's more successful, who got married first, who got the ring, who got picked. But here's the problem. If your worth increases when another woman loses, your self-worth is always going to be fragile because there will always be another woman. And healing says her beauty doesn't subtract from mine. Her success doesn't threaten mine. Her being chosen doesn't make me rejected. And I don't need another woman to lose for me to know my value. Let's move on to sign number 4. Male approval changes how you see yourself. We're going to get personal for a minute. So when you post a picture, women compliment you. Beautiful. Girl, you look amazing. Love this. That's nice. Then the man you want comments, and suddenly we have received the official certification. Ladies, why are we like this? And I'm not saying enjoying male attention is wrong. We're human. Being desired can feel good. The question is, how much authority does that attention have over your self-worth? Do you feel beautiful until he stops noticing? Confident until he pulls away, or secure until another woman gets his attention? Do you start changing yourself to maintain his interest because validation feels wonderful? But when validation becomes identity, whoever controls the validation gains enormous influence over you. And childhood can matter here because some children receive attention primarily when they perform. Good grades, good behavior, achievement, appearance, being helpful, being easy, being impressive. That child can begin internalizing. When people approve of me, I'm okay. Then adulthood arrives and romantic approval becomes another scoreboard. Healing requires building a sense of worth that doesn't rise and fall according to who is currently applauding. Sign number 5, you minimize another woman's experience to protect her access to him. Basically, this is where the pick-me behavior can become harmful. Maybe she tells you what happened. Maybe you witnessed some of it yourself. Maybe you've even experienced pieces of the same behavior. But acknowledging it creates a problem because if she's telling the truth, you may have to reconsider him. And you don't want to reconsider him. So instead, you reconsider her. She's jealous. She's bitter. She's obsessed. She just can't move on. Could any of these things occasionally be true? Of course they could. Women are human too, but here's the question. Are you examining her credibility fairly or discrediting her because believing her would cost you something? That's where behavioral intelligence requires courage because truth sometimes threatens cross. And some people would rather keep access to a relationship than confront information that complicates it. Here's the line I want you to remember. Being loyal to a man is not more virtuous than being loyal to the truth, especially for Christian women. Faith should not make us easier to manipulate. Faith should make truth matter more. Sign number 6. Being a woman who understands him makes you feel important. Here she is, the rehabilitation specialist. Nobody understands him like I do. Women have always hurt him. He just needs someone patient. He has walls. He's never, ever had healthy love. And now you're not dating. You're running an emotional nonprofit. Office hours are apparently 24/7. Benefits, none. Pay, also none. But you do receive unlimited opportunities to explain behavior that hurts you. Now let's be fair. Tune in because compassion is beautiful. Understanding someone's history is beautiful. Trauma absolutely can affect the adult behavior. But understanding why someone behaves a certain way does not make you responsible for rehabilitating them. And this is where childhood wounds can sink it. If you learned early that your role was to take care of another, maybe you were the peacemaker, the responsible child, The one who didn't cause trouble, or the one who comforted mom, the one who managed dad's moods, and the one who everyone called so mature. Them being needed can feel a lot like being loved. So when a woman says, "Nobody understands me like you do," something else inside you lightens up. Attachment, social comparison, cultural expectations, gender roles, previous rejection. So, where does pick me behavior come from? There isn't one cause. And I want to be careful here because pick me girl is internet slang and not a psychological diagnosis. We should not use it to shame women. Some of the behaviors we're discussing can be influenced by childhood experiences or low self worth, insecure attachment, social comparison, cultural expectations, gender roles, previous rejection, conditional approval, fear of abandonment, or simply learned behavior. For some women, being desirable became part of how they learned to feel valuable. And for others, being agreeable did. Some others, it was being useful, easygoing, sexually available, forgiving, low maintenance. I'm not like other women, but think about what that statement sometimes means. Why does being unlike other women make us feel more valuable? Who taught us that womanhood itself was something we needed to distance ourselves from? And that is also worth examining. So the little girl underneath the competition, sometimes underneath a woman competing to be chosen, is a little girl who didn't feel chosen. Maybe dad was emotionally unavailable, or maybe affection was inconsistent. Maybe siblings were compared. Maybe praise depended on achievement, and maybe she learned early that being pretty got attention. Maybe being useful got attention, but being quiet kept the peace. Maybe she watched women compete for men's approval and simply learned this is how relationships work. Children don't sit down and intellectually analyze family systems, they adapt. And sometimes those reputations follow us into adulthood. So the healing question isn't what's wrong with me, it's what did I learn I had to do to receive healthy love? Did I have to perform, rescue, please, stay quiet, look beautiful, nerve, look beautiful, never complain, be sexually desired, be endlessly forgetting, and win? Because sometimes we're still auditioning for love long after the childhood ended. Because this gets complicated inside faith communities. Some women have been taught that being a good Christian woman means endlessly accommodating, to forgive, give grace, don't gossip, don't judge, support your man, stand by your man. And those principles can contain beautiful truths, but they can become distorted when they're used to silence the machine. Ephesians 4:25 tells believers to put away falsehood and speak truthfully. And 1 Corinthians 13 tells us that love rejoices with the truth, and truth matters. It is so important. So if maintaining a relationship requires you to lie, to hide, to discredit, to minimize, or pretend you don't see what you see or hear what you hear, we need to stop calling that biblical loyalty. Being loyal to a man is not more biblical than being loyal to truth. When women protect harmful men, and we've discussed this already some, but I'll go over it again here with you since it applies. Here's another uncomfortable conversation. Sometimes harmful men don't maintain their image alone. Women help them, unfortunately. Not necessarily intentionally. Sometimes it's the girlfriend, the wife, the ex, the friend, the mother, the woman who says, he's a good man. Maybe he is. In some areas, human beings are complicated. But he's good to me cannot become evidence that everyone else's experience is false. Sometimes being the exception can become intoxicating. He treated all those women badly, but I'm different. Maybe. Or maybe you're simply earlier in the pattern, and that's why character matters. We don't evaluate character solely by how someone treats us when they're trying to keep us. We look at patterns. How do they treat people after conflict, after rejection, after breakup, when they don't get their way, or when nobody's watching? When there's nothing to gain, that's behavioral intelligence. And can we stop fighting over bad men? Ladies, please. Women, come close for a second. If two women are arguing, fighting over a man who is lying to both of them, the women are not the primary competition. You're arguing with each other while the man is somewhere eating chicken wings and sleeping beautifully. Absolutely not. Compare notes, cancel the tournament, go home. And yes, I'm joking, but there's something serious underneath it. Triangulation works best when we women see each other as rivals instead of sources of information. Sometimes the healthiest thing women can do is stop asking which one of us did he really want, and start asking why were we accepting behavior that required us to compete in the first place? How do you heal pick-me behavior? Not through shame. Shame usually makes people defensive. Healing starts with awareness. Do I become more attractive when I have to compete? Or do I dismiss women because believing them threatens my relationship? Does being chosen take more from me than I would usually need? Do I need male approval to feel desirable? Do I become the rescuer in the relationships? So you may want to ask yourself, am I trying to be loved or trying to become impossible to leave? Because that last question matters, because sometimes we overgive, we overperform, we overforgive, we dysfunction, not because that's how we naturally love. So don't judge yourself. What am I believing being chosen would prove about me? That I'm beautiful, I'm lovable, that I'm better than her? Am I finally enough and that I didn't lose him? Then ask the deeper questions. What taught me that another person's choice determines your worth? Because maybe the healing isn't learning how to get picked. You were never supposed to audition for healthy love in the first place. Keep your kindness. Lose the self abandonment, keep your compassion, lose the competition, and keep your ability to forgive. Lose the belief that forgiveness requires unlimited access. Keep your faith, but don't use your faith to silence the truth. And please, if the prize is emotional unavailability, dishonesty, triangulation, and accountability, put the ticket back. We're no longer entering hat drawing. Until next time, heal, choose better, and love better. And remember, being picked doesn't determine your value. Your healing begins when you stop asking, will they choose me? And start asking, is this healthy enough for me to choose? I'll talk to you next time. Bye, loves.